Hey there, it's Beth from Rock Your Notebook, and I am up with a collage for Calico Collage. Lately, I have been really into using my chipboard pieces from the back of like a paper pad. I have tons of them, and they're just as sturdy as canvas, and I'm able to get the same result. So I'm using one of those pieces and I'm collaging some of the Tim Holtz tissue paper. It's not as easy to find in Michael's anymore, but I love this stuff and I still have quite a bit of it left. So I just tore off a piece and then tore it into pieces. When I'm collaging, I don't like harsh lines of anything, so I always tear pieces so that we have this torn look unless I'm butting something up against the edge, or unless it's an element like that butterfly you see there. So these are all collage pieces from Calico Collage's Hallowed Gothic. I love Halloween decorations and such, and I'm really loving this kit. So these pieces are actually from her Hallowed Gothic TN kit, the Traveler's Notebook kit, and the element pieces are amazing and awesome. So I collaged everything down, I dried everything with my heat gun because you know I'm super impatient. And then I grabbed some crackle paste, and I'm really disappointed because I don't think I put on a thick enough layer in here, and that kind of made me a little sad because I didn't get quite the effect that I was going for. I probably should have layered it on thicker. But oh well, I left the part in because it's there, the crackle paste is there, you just can't really see the effect that I got with it, not even in real life. So definitely a thicker layer. I know that you have to go on pretty thick with this. I am using the clear crackle paste, not like a white crackle paste. And crackle paste needs to dry on its own. You cannot heat gun it. It needs to just dry. So I walked away from this after I put all the crackle paste on here and left it alone. I let it dry on its own. And you can see it looks like it's a thick layer, but unfortunately for me, it wasn't thick enough. So then I grabbed my Prima acrylic paints, and I have this orange and I have a yellow. And what I love about acrylic paint is that you can water it down some and really get like a watercolory effect, or you can have like a super opaque effect. That choice is really up to you. Now this process does take me a little while, I'm not gonna lie, but I left it in so that you could really see what happens and how it kind of comes to life, and seeing the, you know, adding the water, adding the paint, and the going of the back and forth. Because if you don't see that whole process, then you're just like, oh, well, how did that happen? I was really trying to stay away from the elements. Like I didn't want the paint on top of the elements, but I did want the elements to blend in more. So you can see me putting the paint around everything, but not on top of it. And then I do have one little boo-boo, and it's coming up. It's like right around here where I paint. See, I was trying to get there, and yeah, that was not what I wanted. I didn't want to cover that element, especially that one. So my handy dandy diaper rag thing came to the rescue, and I was able to dab a good amount of that acrylic paint off of there. In real life, it looks a lot better than it does on the camera. On the camera, it looks like it's still fully covered, but I promise you it's not. So I'm just going to keep going back and forth with water and paint and the spray bottle and getting the paint to move around. You can see I'm not even using a lot of paint for this, which is, I mean, how awesome is that? It just means your paint lasts longer. And again, you can see down at the bottom that element with the butterfly, and it looks like that butterfly wing is completely covered and you can't see it, but that's not the case either. I don't make you watch me dry the entire thing because it did take a while drying it, but I love the way that it did dry. Now with this yellow here, it's a very bright yellow and it's not a vintagey yellow at all. So I really had to do a lot of putting the yellow, adding the water, adding a little bit of orange with the yellow to really not have like this bright yellow in your face on this. That's not the look that I was going for. I didn't want like a bright element here, but I did want some more yellow into the project. But when I layered the two together, as you see me doing here, that really worked perfectly. And I'm using a smaller brush. It's a Dina Wakley brush. It's a very hard bristle brush, which makes controlling this aspect of everything a lot easier if I had used a softer bristle brush. And it's a small, I forget what the actual size of this brush is, but I love, love, love this brush. I don't even think you can buy it in the stores anymore, which is sad. I'm sure you can still get it online. I will check scrapbook.com and see, but a brush is awesome. And then again, it's just all about going back and forth. I mean, this is, when you do something like this, it's just really playing with it until you get what you want it to be and how you want it to look. So you can see me going back and forth between the yellow and the orange and dabbing in the water and the whole nine. It's just, that's how it works. I again really wanted to just leave this part in so that you could see how it happens, you know, because if you don't see it, then you're like, well, how did you do that? So that was my whole concept behind leaving this whole action part of the playing with the paint and going the back and forth with it, just so you could really see how it's done, what I did, and that it is just playing until you get it to look the way you want it to look. With this acrylic paint and the water, I really like the way that it kind of like beaded up and gave me this like special areas that are a little more vibrant and look like they almost have a crevice in some of the areas. It's really cool. You can see a lot of that going on the right hand side. It's pretty amazing, the after effect of how that went. Toddler just came in with phone.
Hello.
No, Dante. Anyways, so now, no, Dante.
Well, what is this?
I'll let you play with it in a minute. Excuse me.
For?
Stop. Yes, the life of trying to do a YouTube video and a toddler. Happy Saturday to me. Anyways, this last part here is, I used I think it's burnt sienna. I could be wrong. I'll have to double check. But what I did was I felt that my elements were not vintagey enough. And I really didn't want them to look so bright in your face. So I put this paint over them with a lot of water, as you can see. Like I painted and then added a lot of water so that it would drip down and just kind of give this cool effect. And I love this. This, like, to me, brought the whole thing together. And I really, really am happy with the way that turned out. And again, my diaper cloth to the rescue because I've got the paint pouring down on my glass mat. And if you don't have a glass mat, I highly suggest you get one because it is amazing, especially for us mixed media people. I so love this mat. So you can see me here, and again, a lot of water going on here because my goal is not to cover up the image so that you can't see it. My goal is to get the image to blend in more with all of the collaging that I've got going on. Then the last little bit that you're going to see me do is I'm going to take the remaining of that paint and give this whole thing an edge, right? So it needed something to make it more cohesive and bring everything together. And I figured the best way to do that was to add like a border. So I added a small border with this paint all the way around the edge. And because it's still wet, the paint is bleeding up some and moving kind of like a watercolor would do if it had water on it. the paint as I edge it is moving up and bleeding into the collage. And I was so ecstatic that this happened. And the way it looked and ended up turning out really brought this whole project together. So with that, I am done. I will leave you and say goodbye and let you know that I will have a link to this kit down below for Calico Collage, and you can grab the Hallowed Gothic kit. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you were inspired and enjoyed this collage that I did. Bye.